Once again, welcome to Bulls and Red, your footy podcast about RB Leipzig in English. Let's dive into RB Leipzig's world as we see it. Richard, how are you, and do we need to talk about Thursday night?
Oh, hey Mario, I'm tired. It's Friday night. I got a long day. Although I was at home office today, but I had so much stuff to buy. I was in our beloved city center.
Oh,
from shop to shop, showing around my bike from one, point to lock to the next. And the only thing I'm looking forward to is my betting in the next 30 minutes, hopefully. And to answer your question, no. What happened in Madrid stays in Madrid.
I agree for today. Well, lovely to talk to you. It's going to be a short episode, as we said before at the beginning of the week. On the end of the week, like Friday, we're going to do an update to talk about our next opponent. But before we do, as everybody knows, so hopefully a lot of people know, we will be facing the infamous club FC St. Pauli. Before we actually do talk about FC St. Pauli, I would like to turn our attention to the man, the guy, the manager who actually got them or helped them to get the promotion into the Erste Bundesliga this season. And this gentleman's name is Fabian Hurzeler. He is 31 years young, born in Houston, USA. But when he was 2 years old, his family emigrated to, they moved to Germany because his mother is German, his dad is Swiss, so none of them are American, but he's a lucky guy because he's got 3 citizenships. He's German, Swiss, and American. He's got the US citizenship as well. He actually was responsible, the manager of the football team of FC St. Pauli for just 18 months. And in these 18 months, he did manage to form a group, develop players, and let them play a really attractive attacking football that eventually would earn them, in a very solid way, the promotion to the first Bundesliga. And this is why we're actually meeting them again after a long, long time. But we come to that a little bit later. Also, what one has to recommend or comment as well is that the manager didn't push the club to spend a lot of money for players. It was more on the development side. So I must admit, we have a lot of respect for managers like this. So Fabian Hurzeler, he's a gentleman who helped St. Pauli to actually get to the level top flight German football, where they had 3 matches so far. Now, Fabian Hurzeler, of course, is now the youngest manager in the English Premier League. He's the manager of Brighton and Hove Albions, and they had a pretty good start because after 4 matches, they are ranked in 6th place. These 4 matches included actually a win versus Manchester United and a draw at the Emirates versus the Gunners, Arsenal London. The only downside they had, or as kind of step back, was last weekend when they drew 0-0 versus Ipswich at home. But similar style of football, he is advocating to play in attacking way in Brighton and Hove. And in a similar way as well, what the English Premier League team appreciate and like is that he's able to form a really good side, and maybe they even will qualify for European football after this season with a squad that is not that expensive. We keep our fingers crossed for him. And I just wanted to mention that we know who contributed a lot to the promotion of FC St. Pauli. Now, who is FC St. Pauli? Now, everybody in Germany actually know this club. We do as well. And I'm going to explain why RB Leipzig is the complete opposite of FC St. Pauli. But again, RB Leipzig is going to meet a club, an old club, founded in 1910, with currently approximately 30,000 members, and a club rich in history, a long history, but they haven't won any national trophies. So that is really remarkable. Now, St. Pauli is actually a district of Hamburg, and St. Pauli is, of course, very famous for the Reeperbahn, and that's a location of wonderful nightlife and the red light district of Hamburg. Very lively scene, very famous. And this is where we can find FC St. Pauli. Now, St. Pauli is a fierce rival of the Hamburger SV, and always has been. And the funny thing now is, for I think 7 years now, Hamburger SV can't get out of jail, i.e. the second Bundesliga, the second tier league in Germany. And this year, for the first time, FC St. Pauli has jumped up one level. So they're actually, at the moment, the best, the better of the two football teams in Hamburg. It's a little bit similar to the situation in Berlin, where Union Berlin is in the top level and Hertha BSC, the big club from West Berlin, is also in jail in the second Bundesliga. And nobody knows when they're actually going to get out. Again, let's get back to FC St. Pauli. And FC St. Pauli, to me, was really known as somebody who appears regularly in the second Bundesliga. I couldn't really imagine the second Bundesliga without them. But off and on, after so many blue moons, so to speak, they will get into the first Bundesliga. Last time they did so, they had a spell during the 2010 and 2011 season, unfortunately finishing in last place with a mere score of 29 points. And this year they didn't start much better. But it doesn't matter for a St. Pauli fan, I think, because the club brands himself with a very unique image like no other club in Germany. And that's down to the location, which I explained already, but also the fan base. During the 1980s, the fan base really developed something which was leaning towards the left political spectrum. And in a way, I think that is somehow comparable with other clubs as well. Also, St. Pauli's fan base is an advocate for being an alternative club to the other commercial clubs. And that could be clubs like Bayern Munich. But definitely the most evil club in that region is even worse than Bayer Leverkusen or Wolfsburg. It's, of course, RB Leipzig. What I do like about St. Pauli is that they were the first German club to ban right-wing displays and activities in the 1980s already. So I do like that. And you may have heard somebody referring to the players of the FC St. Pauli as Kiezkicker. Now, Kiezkicker can be loosely translated as a neighborhood kicker. With all of this together, and towards the end of the 1980s, definitely in the 1990s, the media picked up on all these aspects, and they kind of created a brand around, pushed the brand of the FC St. Pauli of being a cult club. And this has lasted ever since. This club is a cult club. Now, the interesting part is they have an emblem, a logo in their flag, which is a skull and crossbones, so like a pirate ship. This wasn't always their logo. For a long time in the 1980s, that was like an unofficial emblem used by a lot of fans, but it was turned into an official logo for official use in 1999. So that's 25 years ago already. So that just added to the image. And at that time, the FC St. Pauli crew would always like to call themselves as the Freibeuter der Bundesliga. Loosely translated, they could be the Buccaneers of the Bundesliga. Although if I think of the Bucks, I think of something different. But they like to play that card. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, you can bet your behind on it. They do not like somebody like RB Leipzig. And we did encounter that 2 years ago. Remember when in the first round we were playing the team in the fifth division, from the fifth division, Teutonia 05 Ottensen, a club from the Hamburg region. And because of strict DFB German FA rules, they are not allowed to play in their own stadium. I think they had artificial grass. So they were looking for an alternative location. They also checked with St. Pauli, and St. Pauli Stadium is called Stadion am Millerntor. Beautiful stadium, which is, was modernized in 4 phases, and that was completed in 2015. It holds 29,500 spectators. It's really, I think it has the right size for that club in that location. So they checked with St. Pauli if they can play versus RB Leipzig. And St. Pauli said no. Reason being, their club portray themselves as a club who is advocating for a fairer environment, a fair way for football teams, without the big guns like FC Bayern München or Bayer Leverkusen, and definitely not with a company like club like RB Leipzig, which just appeared out of nowhere and is there with a lot of money, and they do not like that. And I'm sure on Sunday we will get all that sting again. So here you go. FC St. Pauli. A lot of people, if you talk to a lot of people in Leipzig, they have a lot of respect for this club. I do as well. But we're going to get a lot of stick, as usual. But hats off to this club. It's still, I still think it's a great club. Now, it's been a while since we met them, and we only met them 4 times. And would you believe it, that was in the second Bundesliga. And if I tell you names like Ilsanker, Koltorti, Teigl even, well, definitely Paulsen. Paulsen was there already, 2014-15 and 15-16. Davy Selke. Davy Selke was part of the squad. So we met 4 times and we lost 3 times. Twice we played in at the Millerntor, never scored. Lost both games 1-0. Also lost 1-0 to St. Pauli at home. But the first ever game that was played in the RB Arena 2014, RB Leipzig actually beat them. I think 4-1 it was. So long time ago. We never met them in the first Bundesliga. Reason being, last time when they were in the first Bundesliga, we weren't around in the first Bundesliga. And afterwards, we've been waiting for them. So we're gonna meet them again on match day number 4. It is, isn't it? And travel to Hamburg. It's gonna be last game of this match week. 6:30 Central European summertime still it is over here. We don't expect a lot of RBL supporters to travel to Hamburg, to be honest, on a Sunday night and then having to go back to Monday. I think that is quite a stretch. So this is just to let you know who FC St. Pauli is. You can't get past them in Germany. They're a famous club, although most of the time they don't feature in the Erste Bundesliga. But because of the unique image, and I think the flag as well, with the crossbones and the skull, they are a really famous club over here. But Richard, we haven't scored in Hamburg, and we only beat them once. Do we have any chance?
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
Well, yes, we do have a chance.
I'm so glad.
And I don't have any doubt that we are not going to win this one. So you said it, you got spot on. We never scored at St. Pauli, but this time we will, of course, though maybe or most likely, in my opinion, not more than once. Why? We talked about last week that it's important. Oh no, we thought it wasn't last week. It was on Tuesday actually. We talked about it, that it's important to shoot because I think it was Wayne Gretzky, the great Wayne Gretzky, that once said, "You're gonna miss every single shot you don't take," and it's true, and even more nowadays, where the general competition gets, or the competitors getting closer together, so we have to stay focused and trying to go for shots all the time. I don't expect Coach Rose to find the turnaround right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a tough to watch game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1-0 win or 2-1 win or something like that. And the only thing that this is all about is the 3 points. We cannot win anything beyond that. Because even imagine if we are going to win like 3 or 4-0 or with 3 or 4 goals in difference, everyone will say, okay, so you're RB Leipzig, the infamous club with unlimited funds. And on the other side, it's St. Pauli, Hamburg, whose players are on that pitch for a warm meal the day before.
But only the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, because the day after they played, they have go back to the factory or to the harbor. Yeah.
It's like in old times, East German types.
So yeah, nothing to gain, but besides the 3 points. But you pointed out some interesting stats about St. Pauli, or facts about St. Pauli, and here's another one. And it's a funny thing I stumbled upon. It's, if I counted correctly, St. Pauli actually got 12 players who are active for their national teams.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's Jackson Irvine and Conor Metcalf for Australia. And Nikola Vasili for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Karol Metz for Estland and Estonia. Excuse me, Estonia is in English. And Manolis Sadiakis for Greece. Morgan Giabogi for Guinea. Daniel Sinani, Luxembourg. David Nemeth, Austria. Erik Ahlstrand, Sverige, Sweden. Etienne Amenido for Togo. And Elias Sarr, Tunisia. And last but not least, Finn Stevens is active for Wales. That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that I think like 10 of them or 9 of them have been with St. Pauli the season before. So actually when they were second Bundesliga. And I think, I didn't look it up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had more people on the road for the national team last Saturday when they lost to Augsburg than Augsburg. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think you'd be right.
Because you know we often talked about, or you like to talk about, okay, hey, when we come back from international breaks, we don't play very good football. Maybe that was a reason because St. Pauli wasn't on point after the international break, because they got so many guys, so many lads that were off and not at home to prepare for the next bread and butter business in the Bundesliga. So, but now Saturday.
But they had a dismal start to the season, didn't they? They lost all 3 matches.
Yeah. 2-0 versus Heidenheim at home, 1-0 away at Union Berlin, and 1-3 away at Augsburg. And especially, okay, not Heidenheim in particular, but versus Union Berlin and Augsburg, these are the opponents from the St. Pauli point of view where you should be able to gain your points if you want to not getting relegated at the end of the season. And now there's a decent amount of pressure on the club and on the lads, because I'm sure they expected more, at least 1 point. Okay, so losing at home versus Heidenheim is okay. That can happen if you're new in the league. And Heidenheim, don't forget, finished in the international business. They're going to play European Conference League this year. So quite a strong team. But Union struggled to stay in. We talked about that. And then you're losing in the away game 1-0. I think they expected more from that. So at least 1 point, and 1-3 at Augsburg is anything but the wanted outcome. So what we're going to expect on Sunday. There are some interesting facts about how St. Pauli plays. We talked about, hey, it's important to run. Guess which team is in third place in distance covered this year? Yes, you're right. Of course they are.
Ding 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 ding.
And they're ahead of Bayern, ahead of Leverkusen, ahead of Dortmund, ahead of Stuttgart, and of course ahead of RBL too. So, and another interesting fact, during their 3 losses, their ball possession was always in their favor. 60% versus Heidenheim, 61% versus Union, and 56% at Augsburg. Wow. So this is not a club, not a team that's going to park the bus. I won't go that far to say that this should come into our favor, but it won't hurt either. So it's gonna help us just a little bit, because we are struggling getting into the attacking third, especially if you look at the pass stats into the season right now. Okay, a small sample size, only 3 games played, to be fair, but we have 2,000 and something, nearly 2,100 touches in in the whole 3 games,
Mm-hmm.
which is about only 50 more than St. Pauli had. Quite impressive. So we are in 5th ranked in this stat, and St. Pauli is 6th place. But if you take a look at the touches in midfield, so in the middle third of the pitch, we're in 2nd place behind Bayern Munich. And then, you should expect that you are able to do something with the ball into the attacking zone of the pitch. So handling the ball in midfield and go for it, create something that you want to outplay your ball possession into attacks. And then you take a look at the touches in the attacking third of the pitch, and we are beyond midfield.
Mm-hmm.
So Leverkusen and Bayern still in front, still in the 1st and 2nd place, and we are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th, and behind St. Pauli actually. So conclusion, we have the ball in midfield a lot touches in midfield, but no production out of it at all.
That is strange.
Yeah, that's quite. But on the other hand side, I think it's a baseline. It's a fact, where you can start to work on.
Yeah.
I think it's a hint where we have to get better over the next weeks to push things into the right directions. Not point wise. I think 7 points out of 3 games is okay, but yeah, our playing style is not the best at the moment. Okay, this is everyone can see. It was seen versus Union last Saturday, and yesterday it wasn't really in a better performance, though it was a very hard opponent, to be fair. Okay, so yeah, to wrap things up, St. Pauli will struggle to create something. We will struggle to create something.
Beautiful to watch for everybody.
Of course, I expect a low scoring game, a low chances game. And, we are the stronger team. We are the better team. We are individually better. St. Pauli not going to park the bus. And so at the end of the day, I do expect that we will be able to score at least once and get away with a 1-0 win. But if things go worse, a 1-1 draw would not surprise me either.
Grim outlook in a way. How do you think the team's going to cope with their mindset after this late defeat on Thursday? And actually the way they were outplayed.
I hope that everyone is aware that the goal that happened in the last minute or at a time was just the logical outcome. So that that Atletico wasn't able to score early in the game was just lucky. We were just lucky. And so it's not really that bad luck in the end. It's not like you're saying, okay, there was a match on level, that we were on par, and in the end is something like unlucky. No, we were lucky that they didn't score like 3, 4, or 5 times.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we get to your prediction of who's going to be on the pitch, I did read on various sources or outlets that Thursday was kind of obvious that some players were kind of overplayed, or it seemed as if they were overplayed, like Openda, Xavi as well. Maybe even Campbell. What do you expect? Is Marco Rose going to change the squad a little bit? Or is he pretty much going to stick to the same team?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
No, he's going to change, because he actually said it today at the press conference. And so Campbell is out, by the way, with an injury. Not really serious, but he was going to be off for rehab, for recovery until like mid-October. That's what I read. It's not, I didn't cover up what's the problem.
Yeah, okay.
It's some muscular thing. That's the only thing I could catch.
Okay.
So, and yeah, Marco Rose said he's gonna turn on the rotation machine. So threw some players out, threw some new lads in, but the only player that is not going to change, that's for sure, is surprisingly, for me at least, in our goal. Peter Gulaschi is going to stay. And I was like, okay, so before I heard of that statement that he made today, I thought like, okay, this might be a good option, a good chance to throw Van der Voort in.
Yeah.
So, but that's not going to happen. Okay, so Gulaschi is going to stay. So, given to the proposed changes Marco Rose talked about, I think Braum is the other one that clearly stays in because, we ain't got any alternative. Not really on that left side. I think Orban will stay in too, but I expect Klostermann to replace Lukeba, and number 39, Benny Hendricks, is going to be out, and Red Rueda is going to start in the back four. And Xavi somehow overplayed, not on point, not in his best form.
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity to give him a break.
Maybe.
Versus St. Pauli. So I don't expect him to start Christoph Baumgartner instead. But no, start with the defensive midfield first. I think Haidara is going to stay because we need some kind of stability. But next to him, I think Niklas Seiwald will get his chance. Or I would give him a chance at least. Then Christoph Baumgartner in offensive midfield. Next to him, Elif Elmas. I'm still an Elmas believer.
Just like Timo Werner believer.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why those guys I believe most in playing so poor. Okay, I think I will think about it not to mention those things more than necessary.
Just let him play. Let him do his stuff.
Okay,
he'll be all right.
And you mentioned him. Jussi knows how to play. Of course, you don't know how to score because none of our lads know how to score at St. Pauli. But I think Jussi will get his chance in the starting lineup next to Šeško.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And then go for shoot crosses from every angle. Go for headers.
Fire from all cylinders. I got a question for you. Are we ever going to see André Silva in the lineup?
Not in the starting lineup, but not if not necessary.
Why not? Marco.
Obviously, he is striker number 4.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you. Let's look forward to Sunday. Your score prediction. Is it 1-0 RB Leipzig?
1-0. Yeah, 1-0.
I'm going to go feeling pessimistic. It's going to be 1-1 draw. It's going to be ugly. But, guys, surprise us. Would be great. Well, thank you for listening to our little podcast. This has been Bulls and Red. If you like this little podcast, consider subscribing to it on your favorite platform. You can get in touch with us via platform or via email at podcast@bullsandred.com. You can also find us on Twitter. The username is podcast_RBL. And on Instagram, it's Bulls and Red. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully we come away with 3 points. And all we need to say now is Dangere Jot. And auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.